So we're in Fresno, California. We just finished doing a little bit of work on this Renai R53. This is existing, this installation. So I think about 2010 it was installed. The current homeowner, 2012, purchased the home, so never been flushed. So they contacted us to flush the unit. Of course, this was all tied in. You can see up top you got the old copper corrugated supply lines on both sides. This one looks a little bit newer, and that one's soldered in place, and the old gate valve, so they didn't do any favors with any of that. And the biggest gripe that I've got is they used iron pipe nipples here. So these are corroded. We showed this to the homeowner when we had this disassembled. We shined a light up in there, and they're down to about 1/2 inch inside diameter, very small, because the insides are corroded. You could certainly go over to Home Depot, get a 36 inch, and I think this one over here is like a 2-footer, something like that, and just replace them, you know, if you want. And that'll give you a little better flow. So no big deal. And so scope of our work was install a flush kit for them, flush the water heater, and get the relief line out, because the relief line was just stubbed out over here. This is the actual relief line right here. And surprise, guess what? These are supposed to activate when there's too much pressure in a tankless unit, and that was never going to happen. If you look at the end of this, that's completely, I've never seen this, but that's completely rusted through right there. There's no way pressure's getting out of here. So basically, this was non-functional. That's a safety issue as well. So that's what happens with iron pipe. Never use iron pipe for your water. Use it for gas, you know, the galvanized or the black, whichever one you want. But don't use it for water. Anyways, that's a little nit and pick for that. So they're still in place. I mean, so they're, you know, if you want to get some better volume out of this, the easiest thing to do, and they'll last for a while. You know, the iron pipe will. My suggestion would be to go get a piece of copper and get some shark bite adapters. What they make is it's called a shark bite, 3/4 inch shark bite male adapter. So what it does is it allows you to cut a piece of copper to length, whatever size that you want, and then on the bottom, the fitting itself, it just slides onto place, and it holds on. It has little stainless steel teeth in there that grabs the pipe, and it won't come off. And then on the other side, it'll have threads just like this. So you can take this off, put those make your own piece of copper, cut it however long you want it, and then go ahead and, you know, put your adapters one on each side, and then reconnect here and reconnect that supply line up there. And then you have a real nice free-flowing cold water line. Now you do have a lot of pressure coming through here. Before we got it hooked back up, we turned that valve on right there to cold water. You got a lot of flow through here. So, and it's pressurized water, meaning as opposed to volume coming through, there's pressure coming through because the pipe size in there is broken down to about 1/2 inch. But you do have lots of flow. We did flush this line out first before we connected it here. We flushed out the cold, we flushed out the hot, and then the only thing we can't flush out is your house. You know, whatever's coming out of this unit going into your house, it's going to end up in your faucets and things like that. But anyway, so it is flushed, 45 minutes of distilled white vinegar, a solid brass connection down here. We don't use any iron pipes. So you can see this is the kit. So cold water off, hot water off, and then of course the hot and the cold on top here. This is where you hook up your hoses to do your flush. And Renai has a training video. If you'd like, text me and I'll send you the link to that, or just go to their website, you'll find it. And then off the bottom we've got brass nipple, brass 90 brass nipple. Those flow great and never corrode. Same thing on this side, all brass construction over to stainless steel. Now these are Falcon stainless steel connectors. They're 0.725 inside diameter. They are the largest in the industry. They are the most expensive in the industry. That's what we like. That's what we use. So that's what's installed. These guys are ultra flexible. You can take these apart and you can straighten these things out and bend them over and over again. Occasionally you might need to replace the gasket in here, which you can buy right from Falcon Stainless Steel. We get them from plumbingsupply.com is where we buy these from. So same thing on this side. It's covered because it's the hot side, so we don't want you burning yourself on that. And then of course we ran out the relief line. So relief line has to be solid 3/4 inside diameter. You can go iron pipe, you can go copper, CPVC. So we opted for CPVC. Little adapter. It's required to have a union. So we got a union here. Got it back over to the wall to where we can get a strap on it. One strap out the side wall, drilled a hole, caulked it on the inside, and then of course on the outside we like to silicone it closed. You know, just so you don't have bugs flying in there and building something in your wall. So you can see out here it stubs through, and then we got a nice silicone seal around the hole, and then this drops down. So that's where if you get too much, this is the old one by the way, when the irregular water heater was in place, that's where the old one dumped out. When they installed the tankless, of course, it put the relief line up too high to tie into this unit. You can see it stubs in right here. Here's the old relief line. But the old water heater, you know, the relief line sits on top and it went in there just fine. So that's not ours. You know, the venting's not ours. Pipe's not ours. The only thing we've installed is these two stainless steel connectors, hot and cold. They're 3/4 by 15s, I think they are. The flush kit, the relief line, and then we flushed it for them, and that's the scope of our work. So, like I say, you can replace these two pieces. Just be mindful when you're working up there, those guys, when they come apart, these old supply lines right there, they tend to break down pretty aggressively, so you might have a hard time replacing this, you know. They just get fused and placed and rusting, and they start to rust, so that's good. Up here, additionally, you've got a 5-inch vent going through. This is the concentric vent from Rinnai, and it goes up through the roof, so you probably have a total of about 4 to 5 foot of developed length of pipe. This is a non-condensing unit. However, if you call Rinnai today and say, hey, I got 5 foot of vertical pipe on this unit, they would tell you, hey, go ahead and throw a collar on here. That's a coupling. You could throw a collar on. It's got a little outlet on there for a condensate, and then of course Rinnai makes a little condensate trap that you can mount to the wall right here, and then you run a line out so the condensate goes outside instead of draining down in here and getting down into your heat exchanger burner assembly. You know, it causes problems because that is hot air going up to the vent and it drains back down. That is just a nit and pick, and then I know Rinnai recommends that. It's not required, but it's recommended. So anyways, your unit's the smallest unit that they make, so they're having trouble with getting enough flow to run multiple fixtures at a time, and that's the reason why. So you can replace these and maybe get a little better performance out of it, the hot and the cold lines, the galvanized portion. Additionally, what they've done is they tied into an existing 1/2-inch gas line, which will fire a 40,000 BTU tank style unit, but it won't fire 150,000 BTU, and I believe that's what the, without seeing the side, I'll look in here for a minute and see if I can see it, but I think these are at about 150,000 BTUs, but the meter's all the way across the house, so 80 to 100 feet of pipe across the house. This is too small. This never should have been installed without a new gas line. Anyways, our part's done. Hopefully that resolves some of your issues. You got a brand new kit on there. It's been flushed, relief line stubbed out. Outside of that, this installation is done.